What's up, everybody? Adam here with Etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the buyer's products over the cab ladder rack on our 2021 Ford F250. This ladder rack is going to be made of steel with a nice powder coated finish, so it's not really going to rust away over time, giving us about 1,000 pounds of capacity. It has some round tubes to this first bar. It'll be about 29 inches, so it clears the cab with plenty of room. This isn't going to be visible whenever you're driving, so from the cab, the back of the cab of the truck, to the farthest point, it's going to sit about 56 inches up from the back glass of your cab. So you're not going to be able to see it, but it gets you a lot of room for some of those longer loads, like our ladder here. So from the roof of our truck to the bottom of the bar, it's going to be about 3.5 inches. And then to the top of that bottom bar, it's going to be about 5.5 inches. We're going to have 4 different support beams. One's going to be in the very front over top of the cab. We're going to have one here right at the bulkhead of our bed. And then we have this one right here, which can be adjusted a little bit, just depending on what you really need. And then of course, we're going to have the last one at the back. This thing is pretty solid, as you can see. It's not really jumping around or anything like that. Really, really solid. I was really impressed whenever we put it up on here because it really feels like it's a part of the truck. We are going to get 2 different size bars. So the top bar and our vertical supports are going to be 1 inch in diameter. So it's going to be good for some of the smaller straps you may have. Goes right around perfectly like that. But the other tube is going to be a 2-inch diameter. So you're going to need pretty big straps or pretty big hooks for that. Honestly, I would just maybe take all the straps and maybe just loop it around this, but there is some other tie downs. So what I'm doing is just using these holes right here. And these are the Etrailer ratchet strap sets. This is what I use just because it's a perfect strap for what I use it for. Goes through there, clicks into place real easily. We have multiple different spots, which is nice. And all the excess, which there's almost always excess, you can use these little tie downs. And this is on every single upright that we have. So we have a total of 4. I definitely like this one better than some of the Thule options that you may have on your site. This one just looks a little bit more rugged. I think it's a lot more sturdy in my opinion. And this one does have a different little assembly we can put right on the back of our glass. It's a headache rack. The Thule is not going to come with that. So you can buy it separately and really add to it. But if I were to choose between a Thule option and the buyer's products option, I really like this. It looks really good. All these ladder racks basically install the same exact way. There was a lot of parts for this one, but all you have to do is assemble it once, put it up on there, and you're done. So it is a little bit more difficult to put together than some of the other options on our site. But after I got it all put together and up here, I'm very, very happy with it. So stick around. We're going to show you the whole entire installation process and how we got it all up here and adjusted. So there are a lot of parts to this kit. So what I suggest is kind of taking everything out of the box. We're going to have a lot of duplicate brackets and such. So I put one on one side and one on the other. And then we are going to have 4 unique brackets down low right here. And this big round one is actually the one we're going to start with along with these 2 brackets over here. But first, let's take a look at the hardware. Also, just lay all that stuff out. There's a lot of hardware. There's a lot of big bolts, a lot of smaller carriage bolts, some medium-sized bolts, and then some odds and ends stuff. And then, of course, we just have the J-hooks to secure it down. So this just gives me peace of mind just knowing I have everything I need. So just lay it all out. It's going to make the install a lot easier. So let's start with the big rounded bracket right here. And there's going to be 2 unique bolts. And these are going to be the only 2. There's the skinnier carriage bolts. This is what we're going to be using. So what we're going to do is take this side right here. We're going to slide it in to this little slot. And then we'll take this nut and washer off like that. I'm going to slide this through. Get it in there. And we want that to fall into that little slot. So once we get that carriage bolt rotated, it'll go all the way through and we'll have room to put a washer and then our nylon lock nut on the bottom. I'm not going to tighten these up with the tool yet. Just get them nice and hand tight. And we can do that same exact thing for the other side. we're gonna take another unique bracket like this, the one that has little holes here and this bracket welded to it. And that's gonna go on first. And then we're going to have two sides. But what we wanna make sure on this, we wanna make sure that this little support bracket's gonna be facing back. And then these little tie downs are gonna be facing the outside. And this is gonna go after we put the other one on. So get that all straight. And then we're gonna slide this in like this. And this is where it gets a little different depending on what size bed you have. If you have a 6.5 foot bed like we do, we're gonna put this middle bar on the back side of this vertical support. When I mean back, so back here it's gonna have the big curved part, and this is gonna be the part that goes over top of our cab. So if you have an 8 foot bed, we're gonna slide this all the way and put it on this side of this bracket, right? So we're just gonna do it on a 6.5 foot bed, because that's what we have. So we're only going to put them right about here. And then we're gonna put these on as well. This will be kind of difficult to do it by yourself because you kind of have to lift it up. So you have an extra set of hands, that'd be great. If not, you'll be able to do it. It'll be a little bit more difficult though. So we can do that same thing for the other side. For this next section, this is the hardware we're gonna use. I'm gonna start with the smaller ones, and these are the big boys that come in the kit. So with the smaller ones, these are gonna go on all of these different brackets. So what you wanna do is just take the nut and the washer off. I'm gonna feed the head of the washer and keep that on the outside. And then on the inside, put this on there. And then same with these two right here. We're gonna use the smaller hardware. Goes down and through. You get a washer and a lock nut. Same with the third one. And I'm just getting all these just hand tight for now. And then we can grab the big boy bolts, and this is gonna go in these two holes on the side here. So there's also holes on the back side of our bracket. So you really wanna line these up like that. But this one's gonna be a little bit different because we have two washers on here. One washer is gonna go on one side, and then the other washer is gonna go on the other end of the bolt. Thread this on. Nice and hand tight. I like to get it down to the nylon so it doesn't like rattle off or anything. And then we do the same exact thing for the top runaway nut. And then we can repeat this same exact process on the other side. Next step, we're gonna take two different brackets like this, and we are gonna use all of these smaller carriage bolts. I already did the other side, so there's 3 left for 3 different holes. The way we wanna do this is like this, with the excess of the bracket facing down. And then what we can do is I like to put the pretty part on the outside, and then on the inside we're gonna have our washer and our lock nut. And we could do that same exact thing for this hole and the one down here. We're gonna leave it loose for now. We just go ahead and put all these in so the bracket stays up by itself. Now we're gonna take this side, and it's only gonna go in one way. Just go like this. Slide it in just like that. I actually have a couple chairs here propping it up so it's nice and aligned. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. And we wanna slide this guy down like this. We wanna make sure that this line on the inside is at the very center of our hole. And then you can take a 15/16 socket to tighten it up. The way I like to do it is tighten up one side. We want to tighten one side a little bit and then go to the other one, tighten it up a little bit, and just kind of go back and forth, and we are going to fully tighten these down. We're going to take our other upright. I already did it on the other side, and what you want to do here is we're going to slide this in. We want this bracket to be closer to the outside and facing towards the front. So we're going to slide this down, and then we're going to take our smaller pieces of hardware, just like the front. We're going to put these down through like that. And we're going to put the washer and the nut on the other side. And again, you can just loosely install these. And now we're going to take this bracket right here. Notice these two little metal pegs and this little tab. We got to find a home for them. So I found that the metal tab on our bracket is going to go on the outside like that. And then there is 3 different holes on this end cap over here. And we're going to put this just like that. And then what we want to do, there's going to be 2 shorter bolts like this. And we're going to put the lock washer on it like this. And this is going to go into that 3rd hole and the end cap on this bracket here. And it is threaded on the inside. Just kind of get that going. And we can tighten that up in a little bit. And then also, we're going to take our very, very small carriage bolt. So we do want the square part of this bracket on the curve to be on the outside, so we just have that smooth side of our bolt towards the outside of the rack. And then we can go ahead and tighten this down. We can tighten these all the way down. I'm using a 17mm socket to do this. Now we're going to take another set of the big boy bolts, and we're going to go through this bracket on the outside, through that upright, and then we want a washer and a lock nut, and we're going to do the same thing for the hole on the bottom as well. And we can tighten this up. Now for the feet, we want to get the right brackets. We want to make sure, since this is the back of the ladder rack, we want this to be facing in towards the bed, and also these little holes right here, that's going to be what connects to the inside of the rails. So you want to make sure that it's going to be just like this. Kind of mimics what the bed rails kind of look like. So we're going to slide this up into place. Let's put our big bolts on the outside like that. Washer on the other side by the head, another washer on this side by the nut. And for the front, we want to make sure that they are facing back, and of course the little edge is going to be facing in with the same exact hardware as before. Next, we want to take this bar, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the back half of the ladder rack. So right behind our little joining bracket that joins the front and the back, and then in front of our uprights right here. So what you do is you kind of put it in like this and you rotate it like that. And this is the last of our smaller bolts. And what we want to do is we're going to put it through, and we're going to take the washer and the nut and put it on the inside. And then we can take this bar, which has the little 90 degrees, and it's going to fit into this little bracket that we put on here. So you put it down, and we have these little pins to hold it into place. So this is going to be a little intense. Grab some friends if you got them. I have 2 friends, so they're here to help me. So they're going to lift it up. I'm going to lift this up. We're going to put it into place as carefully as we can. So So we got it up here. If you have more than 2 friends, grab them. It's pretty heavy and it's kind of difficult to get up here, but once it's in place, we're good. And one thing we need to do once it's up here and everything's adjusted is just put these little J-hooks in. The way that happens is you just put this in that little slot. Comes up like that. And then we'll take a washer, a lock washer, and then our nut. And then once we're done with the nut, once we have that all tightened down, I'm actually going to reuse these caps that were on there before. You can put them back on just so they won't rip anything. Pop those on just like that. And to get these brackets like angled right, so if you did completely tighten all this stuff down, it's going to be a little hard to kind of get the angle that you want, because you can notice this upright here has a lot of angle, and then the one over here is basically upright. So what we're going to do, I kind of over tightened some of these. I'm going to loosen them up, get them kind of completely symmetrical, and then tighten them all up. And any bolt at this point that isn't tight and you get it exactly where you want, we want to tighten up all the hardware. And that'll do it for a look at the Buyers Products over the cab ladder rack on our 2021 Ford F250.